Awesome. Well, Kathleen and I are 2/3 of the official Inspired Classroom crew, but a small part of the extended Inspired Classroom family. So we'll just do a quick introduction of who each of us, who we are, and what our company, who this Inspired Classroom is and what we do. So my name is Alli DePuy. I started off life as an art educator, did a little bit of work in the private sector, and then started a bunch of different programs helping organizations incorporate art education into their programming. So I worked with the Art Museum, started some programs for young students there. I worked with Spectrum Discovery Area, started some art and science programs for them. And then I got involved with Inspired Classroom. And it was kind of funny because at that point, it was a company that really just did sort of these high interest one-off classes on like hot topic Montana things like race. And I had somebody who was a tech superstar say, do you think you could teach virtually? And this was almost 10 years ago at this point. And I thought, well, I don't even know what that means. Teaching virtually, like, what is that? So they said, come on, like, take a look. And at that point, it was so funny. I had there was this big leather chair that we referred to as like the Hugh Hefner chair, because it was like, we sat back in the chair and you would connect over video conferencing equipment and talk about, Montana, and you could share your screen. Things have evolved quite a bit. I had this mixer that was like the size of my dining room table that scared the heck out of me, that I kind of had to deal with on a regular basis. So thankful that things have progressed. 7 years ago, Kathleen, is that right? 6 years ago? I don't even know at this point. Oh my goodness. Kathleen and I, we'd done some work together, decided to purchase Inspired Classroom and take it in a completely different direction that we were both very passionate about. So Kathleen, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, give them a little bit of your background, then we'll talk about the company?
Absolutely. So real quickly, and by the way, Alli, like I said, Alli and I work together every day for hours a day. And so you remember the little chipmunks, Chip and Dale, the little, and they'd say, oh, no, after you. But of course, after you. We kind of have this Chip and Dale thing going on. So sorry. It's just how we roll. Yeah, I'm Kathleen Dent. I'm a longtime educator. Started my career in grades 3 through 6, teaching different grade levels. And then moved to Montana and coordinated the gifted program in Hamilton for a number of years, and then became administrator. Sorry, I went to the dark side, and curriculum director there. And in my work, at that point, I had met Alli, and she was doing some fun stuff. And then I retired, almost said graduated, but I retired about 8 years ago out of the system. And then when it came available to buy Inspired Classroom, it was just too good of an opportunity to put some of those best practices in play that I had built over my career, that I had seen folks like you do, and take it into a virtual space, because at that point I knew and really believed that distance learning is one tool in the toolbox that we must bring into the 21st century. It's absolutely incumbent on all of us to bring the classrooms into the world, and now we can. And since, like Alli said, since that 7 years ago, the technology is so much easier. And for those of you who are more seasoned teachers out there, I don't want to hear that you're too old to do this, because I'm not, you're not, and we bring a lot of seasoning and understanding of really best practices. And then all we need to do is translate those into virtual space. And that's what we're going to work on today with you guys, is kind of dipping our toes into that. How do you translate what we've always done into a virtual space? And that's what building a blended classroom is all about. So, is that enough?
Yeah, well, I just want to throw in there that when we purchased Inspired Classroom, we pulled it into what it is now, that we really wanted to build inspired classroom on 3 pillars that are very important, and Kathleen and I share a lot of passion around these. The first is providing authentic learning experiences to students, regardless of where you're at. So the second one, that is equity of access. You should, in this day and age, with the technology that we have, you should be able to access amazing content and amazing experts and other peers that can help you with the work that you're doing if you're in a one-room schoolhouse in Montana, or if you're in a larger district in New York City. Those things should be accessible to you. So authentic learning experiences, equity of access, and then the final one is support for educators, because we've both been there in the trenches as educators, and we know that you are asked to do so much on a daily basis that if we can't support you and if we can't build in that support, then it really, what are we doing? What are we doing anyways? So that's what we have developed Inspired to Classroom and built this company around, are those 3 pillars. That's all I wanted to say. Now let's do something fun, shall we?
Sure.
Okay, so I need you guys to do one of 2 things. Grab a pencil and a piece of paper. We're gonna give you, how much time should we give them?
Oh, 2 minutes and 37 seconds.
That should be enough to grab a piece of paper. I'm actually gonna have everybody grab a piece of paper.
Oh, I thought you meant to do the whole thing. 32 seconds to grab the piece of paper and pencil.
Okay, 32 seconds. Everybody grab a piece of paper and a pencil. On your marks, get set, go. I'm doing it too.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm back.
Okay.
Okay.
One thing you'll notice is that we try to model some of the pedagogy that we implement, and giving novel time frames like 32 seconds makes people kind of pay attention a little bit more. So that's something we incorporate in our classroom.
Absolutely. Okay, so now that you have your pencil and piece of paper, we're going to give you a little bit more time. And it's okay to give students, we want you to know that it's okay to give students time when it's quiet and they're thinking and they're paused. This doesn't have to be the, oh, I'm gonna use some names that I see in the chat. This doesn't have to be the Shanna Birchwell show, or the Nick Shepard show, or the Karen Peterson show, right? We want to make sure the students are working really hard. So it's okay to give that pause. So we're gonna pause for a minute. And I'd like you to draw.
And 10 seconds.
And 10 seconds. Thank you for the novel time. And I would like you to draw your distance learning mood. So we all experienced something. As a parent and also a business owner, you predominantly as educators, what distance learning, a version, I'm going to call it a version of distance learning this spring. And so we all bring, and some of you have experience with distance learning from beforehand, but we all bring different things to this conference today, and we have different opinions of what that is, what distance learning really is, what it could be, what it looks like. And so I just want to get a mood, and then we're going to hold up our moods here in just a minute. So 1 minute and 10 seconds. On your marks, get set, draw.
I almost wanted to say bake, sorry.
Are you drawing, Kathleen?
I don't have any paper.
What?
I've got a board. I've got a whiteboard. I'll do it.
Go. And stick figures are 100% fine. This is not an art lesson.
Although Alli would love to be. Okay, I'm ready to show mine when the time comes. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing the screen because I want to see everybody.
Oh, this is awesome because I can see everyone. If you don't have your camera on and you have access to a camera, please flip it on so we can see your face, your mood.
So
okay.
Pro tip, using a virtual background is awesome until you have to share something and holding it up. So I'm going to turn mine off for a second.
Oh, wait.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna take a, can I take a picture of this? This is amazing. I love this.
Absolutely.
These are so good. Oh my
Check
God.
out everybody's mood, you guys.
Check out these moods.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing meh. I'm seeing happy. I'm seeing, oh my God, you can't believe I have to do this. You're kidding me. Nice. Oh yeah, that's about where I thought we'd be. What
I
about
saw
you?
a Twilight Zone one. I loved that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, so we're all coming to this at absolutely a different point. And I guess what I hope that we can do for you today is give you some tricks for making those who have the extreme frowny faces feel a little bit more meh, and maybe the people that feel a little bit more meh can start feeling a little bit of a little turn up of your cheek, a little bit more smiley. And the other piece is that Kathleen and I have been doing this for a really long time, and we've actually developed trainings that span quite a few different topics. We really can get in deep with you on different subject matter things as well. We've got the state of Illinois is actually, a lot of them are using some of our trainings right now, working with their teachers. So we are a resource for you. Okay, I'm going back and I'm sharing. We're coming back. Oops, sorry. In a second, because I hit the wrong button. And it's okay, because when you're an educator and you got a million things going on, I guarantee that you will hit the wrong button, and it is totally fine. And it's good to build those expectations with your students that this is not Hollywood and it's not supposed to work like Hollywood. So Kathleen, take it away.
Oh my goodness, I will. So we build everything that we do on, and I know we're all kind of tired of this phrase, research-based best practices, but it really is true. And so when we're doing blended learning, and in this case, when we're talking about blended learning, let's define it first. We are talking about in-class, face-to-face interaction. We're talking about asynchronous things, so possibly flipping a classroom by sending out videos ahead of time that students have to watch, or something that they have to work on their own. And then we're also talking about virtually, like we are today, being synchronous. And blending the tools that we use, whether it's the video conferencing platforms, the tech tools that we're using, like Padlet or, you know, whatever. So that's what we're talking about, is blending all of these things together. With that, we know that we have to be engaging. We can't just be talking heads on the screen. This is not Zoom or video conferencing for business meetings, which typically are just talking heads. This is instruction. So we need to use those engaging strategies. And we're going to practice and talk with you a lot about translating some of the things you do to get kids to engage on a daily basis. How do you do that virtually? It needs to be effective teaching and learning. And we know what some of those best practices are, the planning that goes into it, the classroom management, the questioning strategies, all of those things still need to apply. It needs to be flexible. That's where formative assessment comes in. That's where differentiating comes in. All of those things that we normally do. And then thinking about how you do that in a virtual space in addition. This is a big one, and we'll work on this one a little bit. And I think because you all, and I know I have a lot of friends and colleagues who We had lots of talk sessions this spring, and I was hearing, I just want to see the kids. I want to see their faces. I want to touch them. I want to look at them, you know, that relationship building piece, because we were thrown into it so quickly, was lacking, and especially for ending the school year, you know, that kind of thing. So we want to now take a breath and think about how can we do a better job of building relationships if we have to be in a blended environment. Taking into account different learning styles, all of that research that's out there, that has been out there forever. How can we translate that? Can we use whiteboards for visual learners? Can we do all different kinds of things? And then assessment opportunities, building that in virtually. There's third-party apps like Kahoot and Nearpod and things like that that allow you to have that real-time assessment. And then the other thing that we use is technology integration frameworks. We're not going to go into that a lot, but we have a whole training session on building a culture of blended learning or distance learning in your classroom, in your school, and in your district. And in that training, we talk a lot about the SAMR framework, if you're familiar with that. We talk about how to bring Bloom's taxonomy into technology integration and so forth. So those are the kinds of things that we build in, and research supports the fact that blended learning is more effective than just one way or t'other. So there you go. All right, Alli, next. I'm going to be the film strip projector. Ding. Now I just dated myself, right? Okay, Alli, are you going to do this one?
We're having some technical issues in another room. Would you mind taking this one, Kathleen?
I would love it. So what you're seeing Alli doing right now, and what you'll do as teachers in your virtual situations or your blended situations, and one of the blended situations that we talk about is co-teaching, where you've got two teachers that are virtually teaching each other's classes. One of the things we do is partner with two folks from Alaska. They are high school teachers or retired high school teachers in Alaska. And they are absolutely past masters at doing what we're talking about today, blending their classrooms. So we use them as independent contractors, and we've got a lot of help from them. But one thing I'll let you know is that Alaska's been teaching this way for years. And I don't know, put your hand or your thumbs up if any of you have ever taught in Alaska. Because, yep, because these guys that we work with, they are in huge districts that might have island communities that have 1 or 2 high school students. And so those students attend every class virtually, and they co-teach. So it's really interesting. But you'll see them, their names are Greg Zorbas and Rob Sparks, and you'll see them in a minute in some videos. We lean on them a lot. So when we're talking about blended instruction, we're talking about both synchronous and asynchronous learning. So with synchronous learning, you know, that relationship building is huge. Accountability and responsibility. I know I heard from a lot of people this spring about, because it was thrown so quickly on not just us, but the students. I had, you know, 80% of my kids checked in, but the other 20% never did. Give me a thumbs up if you had that experience this year. Yeah. And as educators, we're like, I want to get 100% of my kids, right? I want to grab them and make sure that they're accountable. So now that we can take a breath, what strategies, what things are we going to build into our instruction that makes kids accountable, that sets those expectations, and that they can learn how to be good virtual students. So we'll be looking at some of that today. Formative assessment, and being that flexible way. You can host discussions synchronously. And one of the things that, again, I'm going to ask you to respond to just with the thumbs up or thumbs sideways or thumbs down. How many of you have used these virtual platforms like Zoom or Google Meets or whatever you're using as a way for students to collaborate with students. How many of you have done that? Yeah, we've got a real, I'm going to scroll down and look.
Yeah,
Yep, we've got
I'm
some
taking a look.
people. Yep. And by
Not
the
a ton,
way,
though.
you can
Yeah.
either physically put your thumb up or you can use the reactions down at the bottom of your screen and show me thumbs up if you've done it. So yeah, thumbs sideways, kind of tried it. So a lot of times we think of virtual teaching like we're doing today as I'm the teacher, I'm standing, I'm talking right at the camera, I'm gonna talk for an hour, and you are my students. But really, we need to turn that over to the students more and more. And of course, it depends on your age group. But even the kindergartners, we've had some amazing experiences with kindergartners presenting about eagle migration to junior high school students. And guess who did a better job? The junior high school students or the kindergartners? The kindergartners absolutely rocked it. And it was funny because they presented first, right? And the junior high school kids were like, oh no, I guess we better get our A game on. And so you could see they were redoing their presentation in the back. It was so funny. So, you know, building in those collaborative things for students to talk to each other, to get together, to do group work is really an important part of being synchronous, whether you're face-to-face physically or face-to-face virtually. And then we've got asynchronous learning, which is, it allows for more flexibility. You can integrate information, you can flip classrooms, but it isn't, you know, having a student sit at a computer and self-pace through a course or through information. That's one way, but it should not be the bulk of the way. There is absolutely no thought in our minds, particularly, that virtual teaching is going to take the place and asynchronous learning is going to take the place of having a teacher, having that give and take, and having that really good pedagogy. So it's a great add-on, but it isn't the way that distance learning should go. I'm going to do great. I just want to double check.
Yeah. Well, and I'm really curious because I hear this a lot from educators. So breakout rooms, and I just noticed that Shanna put this in the chat as well. As a teacher, you can go from breakout room to breakout room to breakout room to check in and see how your students are doing. A lot of times teachers say, well, I can't use breakout rooms because I don't know what's happening in those breakout rooms. It's kind of the same as assigning group work in class, where you're not necessarily sitting there listening to each and every single student talk about what's happening. And but you can pop in and you can see how they're progressing. And at that point, you can, if you need to make a few adjustments, then absolutely make some of those adjustments. But it is one of those things where there are definitely ways to work around that. And letting your students take the lead on some of the technology is not a bad thing. RJ, have I ever worked with art and music teachers? Yes, I have. A ton with art teachers. RJ, I don't know if you hit we're at the very beginning, but I actually started life as an art teacher. And so a lot of the work that I do is in art education. We work a ton with the MAM, the Missoula Art Museum. So done a ton of that. Music teachers, we have worked with music teachers. One of the organizations that we connect students with is the Manhattan School of Music, not in Manhattan, Montana, but in Manhattan, New York, to work on bringing lessons. And in fact, I wonder if any of the teachers here were part of some of those programs.
Elmsville and Ovando. Yeah.
Yeah.
What, Allie, I'm going to interrupt you, and I hear Rachel. I hear what you're saying. Their district doesn't allow it because of the supervision thing. I'm an administrator. I get it. I work with the education lawyer here in town. I get it. But we need to continue to do, this is my soapbox, this is my opinion. Okay, we need to continue to educate our administrators and our IT people that if we don't teach students to use technology appropriately, they will not use technology appropriately. And so it's a skill that has to be taught, and there's expectations. So And I understand the whole policy and legality and all of that. So that's just my soapbox. Okay, onward.
Okay. Oh, it's time to do some fun stuff. All right. So let's see. I have to move my thing so I can see what's happening here. What is the importance of relationship building in your classroom? So let's just do a quick thumbs up, thumbs down visual scan, right? Relationship building. Important, not important in your classroom. Important, not important. I'm hoping I see all thumbs up here. Totally, right? Right? Yeah, 10 fingers. I love that, Mona. Nice. Mona's got the 10 fingers put up on that one. So yeah, so relationship building is pretty important. Kathleen, I think we're going to try using Padlet for this one. Is that?
Oh, no.
Maybe not. We forgot to set Padlet up.
I forgot. Sorry.
That's all right. We can use the chat. We can use the chat box. So one of the things I'd like you to put in the chat box now are what types of things do you do in your classroom to build relationships with your students?
That way everybody can.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Allie, I totally spaced that.
It's not like we haven't had anything else going on this week.
I know, right?
Daily check-ins, morning meetings, you eat with them, you work with them, you play with them, you greet them at the door. Morning meeting is crucial. Yes, small group work, one-on-one conversations. I love this. Personal stories, getting to know you. Predictable routines. Playing games. Did I say having money? I don't think so. Game days, closing meetings. Yes. What is ARF? I can't wait to hear about that one. Whoever put in ARF, will you unmute your microphone and tell me what that is?
Yeah, it's I don't know if you guys have heard about High Trust, Denny McLaughlin, and he does a whole program on basically how do you be happy every single day of your life, and you teach that to your kids. And so ARF is just the acronym. You have to have like 90% achievement at something every day. You have to feel respected and loved every day. You have to have some fun every day, and you have to have some freedom every day. And when you have all four of those things in balance, then life just works really well, and your learning is better as well. So we talked about that as building those relationships together and filling each other's ARF up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
love it. I love that. Oh, I think that's wonderful.
Changed my entire teaching world once I started doing that. It's incredible.
I love seeing all the things, and you know, that's what we miss at not having a face-to-face conference, is being able to just talk to each other and share ideas. So be sure you check out that chat stream, because there's some amazing ideas.
Hey, Kim, can I ask her, what was the name of the program again? Kim DeVore, what was the name of the program or the book?
It's called High Trust, and I'll put it in the chat box here in a second. But the gentleman is Denny McLaughlin, and he actually does trainings. You kind of have to get him to come to your school and get enough people to bring him. But I've been to probably 5 or 6 of his presentations, and he's quite an interesting character. Just saying that. You'd have to go in with an open mind, but his teaching style is brilliant if you can figure out what he's doing. Does a lot of kind of getting you on the edge and getting your ire up just enough to get you thinking about things. And then you realize, wait, sometimes we take ourselves way too seriously.
Yeah.
And we have to be careful that we're not doing that with the kids too. So yeah, Google him. He's got different workshops around, at least he hasn't been here for the last year or two. But anyway, I highly recommend it. And I really recommend it for new teachers, because it helps with we all have that anxiety when we first start. There's so much to learn in this profession, and just if you can kind of go at it from his perspective, it helps everybody. So I'll put it in the chat box, and I'll see if I can find a link.
I've got a link to his website I'll put in too.
I love it. So what we're going to do right now is I am going to just I'm going to put everybody into a break room, and we're only going to be in there for maybe 3 minutes. The first thing that I'd like you to do is choose a spokesperson for your room that can report back to the group. And what you're going to do after that is you're going to take one of the things you can choose, what you put in, if you saw something else pop up in the chat that was really interesting to you. And I'd like you to talk in your group and tell us how you would translate that to a virtual classroom and kind of get everyone's thought on that. So I'm going to go ahead and put you in the breakout room. What'll happen is you'll see a little thing that pops up. It'll says, go to the breakout room, click, go to the breakout room. You'll talk, you'll have, let's do 3 minutes and 34 seconds. And then I will pull everybody back from the breakout room. So on your marks, get set, go. Everybody's returning. I love it. Okay, let's see here. So on, like, if you click the participant button, you should see things like raise your hand, yes, no, go slower, go faster. Give me a thumbs up if you see those.
Where are they?
So if you click participants at the bottom.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if you were, oh, I'm seeing people using them. Oh, jazz hands. So if you were the person that was going to report out, would you raise your hand, please? Yeah, look at that. So for the sake of time.
There's our reaction.
I love it. So for the sake of time, since we have 13 rooms and we have about 75 people in this conference, I am going to do some random calling on to report back out. And if you are not chosen, you can go ahead and type in the chat box if you'd like. So let's start with Sarah Sigler. What was your group?
So we talked briefly about a great way to connect, and we had from kindergarten to 12th grade teachers was small group meetings. And so an example from kindergarten that went really well was pet show and tell. And in high school, I teach Spanish, AP Spanish. And so, you know, we use those small groups to practice our speaking skills. It was great.
That's awesome. I love that. How about Mona? Mona, would you report out?
We had some really great ideas. Lori she does a scavenger hunt where she has the kids go run off. It was kind of funny because she said kids did a lot of up and down stairs, bringing whatever item that, you know, she called out. We have Heather, who had group games online like Kahoot. She also did scavenger hunts, and she did a school dance with the local radio station. So we should ask her about that. And then Jackie did a virtual talent show with Flipgrid. That's really cool. So that's what we got to.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I want to hear about the school dance. That's really fun. One of our educators, Greg Zorbis, has a student that we've done some work with who is a virtual student, like Kathleen was telling you, is one of the students that lives very, very remotely and comes in virtually every day, but then once a month comes into the classroom physically. And I guess one time there was a nice prom invitation via video conferencing. So relationships can be built in all different capacities over Zoom. All right, let's hear from one more person. Noelle, would you like to share with us?
Sure. So we talked about a few different things. We talked about using Padlet for sharing quite a bit. And then also in this conference, I've learned about Jamboard as being another option for same kind of idea of sharing. And one great way to use throughout the semester for building that community throughout. And then we talked about that also for like classes like music and being able to share their performances through Padlet and that kind of thing. Just being able to share work. And having an authentic audience with that. And we talked about Dojo as possibly being able to share back and forth for students as well. And then one that a couple of us used quite a bit was Screencastify. And I know that our district is getting it for the whole district this year. So we'll be able to use it with students as well and have them submitting videos back and forth.
Absolutely. So these are all such good ideas. And I think one of the takeaways for me is that, again, we need to support each other, and we have to have that educator support, because when we put our minds together and start thinking and listening and hearing these ideas and what other people are using, you go, oh, I can see how that would work in my classroom. This is really, really cool. I'm seeing all sorts of other really fun things. We've done, Kathleen, what are some of the things that we've done with students that are fun? I know we've played Pictionary. We've also done scavenger hunts, personal museums. That's really fun. Kathleen, do you want to talk about how that one works?
So you can ask the students, depending on their age or what you're trying to study or whatever, you can make it content related or non-content related, but they can look around their houses and bring, set the number of items, 1, 3, 10, whatever, and set up their backgrounds, and then have time to explain why this museum piece is in their personal museum. So, or like I said, it could be content related. I know we had one of our, Rob from Alaska said he's rethought his lesson and he's teaching the cardinal points, and he had the virtual kids go to the northernmost room in their house and get something and bring it back. So just reinforcing that whatever content he was teaching at the time. So getting creative about that.
Absolutely.
Let's party on, Alli.
Let's party on. All right, sharing the screen. Here it comes. Ready, set, go. All right, moving to the next slide. This is one of my personal favorites. So, synchronous versus asynchronous learning. I have a lot of synchronous learning up there. How many of you this spring did distance learning like this pie chart? Did anybody's?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand what you just said.
Oh, sorry about it. Let me repeat.
And I'm sorry. What did you say?
No worries. So,
thanks.
So just looking at the asynchronous time versus the synchronous time that we do with learning in a blended classroom. So I have quite a bit of time devoted to synchronous learning on this pie chart. And I'm curious if this reflected what happened this spring in anybody's class. Sort of.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
It's tricky. Well, I don't want you to freak out to think that you have to be on camera for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours every day. Being on camera is certainly important. But when we start talking about synchronous learning and asynchronous learning, and Kathleen hit on this a little bit earlier, that synchronous piece is really huge. It's really, really important for the connection, for that relationship building, to see each other over video. It's also important to have the time where students get to just have some time to connect together. So synchronous learning also doesn't necessarily mean that you're teaching. Synchronous learning can be when it's student-led. Synchronous learning can be small group time where students are working in small groups. Synchronous learning can be students working at the same time on a shared Google Doc and they're typing in different colors so that as a teacher you can see what's happening. And then when they agree on the final, they change it to one color. So there's lots of different ways that we can have synchronous learning. But I think what we want to get away from and kind of pull back from a little bit is saying, okay, here's the lesson, do it, I'll check in with you on Wednesday. Because that can be really, really hard for relationship building and it can be really challenging. And so I'm seeing like, oh my goodness, yes, equity of access is huge. It is, it's absolutely huge. I know teachers, and maybe you were one of them, that had to hand deliver paper packets to their students. Yeah, like because there was no digital connectivity, right? I know schools for the fall, a lot of them are really working towards that. I also know that the CARES Funding Act that came out has a lot of money allotted for that type of infrastructure building up. So there's things that absolutely need to be addressed, and there are certainly ways that we can work with that. Kathleen and we're not going to go into the equity piece too deep right now because we actually have an entire training built on that where we really delve in how do you reach and meet all those different folks, and that would sideline where we're going today. But I'm going to nod. That is absolutely a piece. Kathleen, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I'm watching the chat box, and I just want to acknowledge the pain points that some of you are putting in here, because we're not saying you're bad and evil if you didn't do this.
No.
We're saying that, you know, just like everything in education, I said, when I was teaching, I always felt like education was guilt driven, because I'd get done with the school year and go, oh, I didn't get to this kid, or I didn't do this the way I wanted to, or, you know, whatever. And I think at this point, we've all had that letdown of, oh, it just didn't go the way I wanted it to. And so we're kind of saying, here's the goal, all right? What little baby steps can we take?
Yes.
And what tools will help us take them to get closer to this goal, if it's not something that you're able to do right now, given your schedules, given your administrative policies, given that, let's not just completely throw it out, but let's say, how can we start to get closer? Can we have student collaboration time virtually? Can we build, and that means different things to different age groups and different content areas. So just putting it out there that, you know, now that we've had a chance to evaluate and we're starting to get a feel for what tools are out there and there's some funding, let's look at the way that we're starting to move into integrating technology post-COVID time. So even, you know, the COVID issues are one that we're going to face for a little while, but post-COVID time, what can we do to start building in more synchronous learning, whether it's virtually or not? So I don't want to, stay positive. Yeah, exactly. I don't want you to feel like, oh, you know, I failed again. We're just putting it out there as a goal to kind of help set our sights on this. Go ahead, Alli.
Absolutely. Whoa. Keep going, Kathleen.
Well, I think this kind of backs up what I just said. You know, I do a lot of work on the Danielson framework too. And one of the things that we always talk about is the students should be the ones doing the hard work in the classroom, not the teacher. Your work is done prior to teaching. And yes, I know that's ideal, and I know it doesn't always happen. But our goal, of course, is to have the students developing cognitive sweat. And one of the things that we've learned in the trainings that we're doing is people new to distance learning often think they have to look at the camera and talk for the whole time. And what we're saying is, you don't have to do that. You can do the same strategies, you can pause, you can have students, you know, work on something and then come and check in with them. All of that kind of stuff virtually, just like you would in the classroom. Don't feel like you have to be on camera and performing the whole time. So get those kids into working as much as possible. And again, it depends on what you mean. Oh, are we going to do cognitive dissonance?
It's time for a little break to get everybody up and moving, I think, because we have some serious cognitive sweat coming in the next part of the lesson or the session.
Okay, so Sarah, you were in Echo session with me, so we're gonna play with the cognitive dissonance thing, and so this is a way to take a break. So if you can, if you're able, and I don't know, I need to move my camera just a sec so I can see me. Okay, so if you can stand up, do it, because we need to wiggle. If you can't, you're gonna pretend like your arms are your legs, I guess. So, all right. So here's how cognitive dissonance works. When I say walk, you're going to stop. And when I say stop, you're going to walk. Okay, let me say that one more time. When I say walk, you're going to stop. When I say stop, you're going to walk. All right, everybody walk. Good job. Hey, Alli.
Yeah.
Can you quit sharing the screen so we can see everybody?
Oh my gosh, of
Because
course.
there's people that are cheating, I know. Okay, we're going to try that again. Everybody walk. Ooh, everybody stop. Stop.
You're tricky.
Walk. Okay, everybody walk. Okay, everybody stop. Walk. Awesome. Now we're gonna do the next level, which is when I say clap, you're gonna hop. And when I say hop, you're gonna clap.
Okay.
Okay? But we also have walk and stop. Okay, everybody hop. Everybody hop. Everybody clap. I can't do it. Everybody stop. Everybody clap. Everybody stop. Everybody walk. Everybody hop.
The dog bark.
Somebody's dog's going crazy. And then what we heard was you can add more levels, but what's even more fun is have the kids add a level so that they say, oh, let's do spin, and you have to sit down and you have to spin. So that's just another way to build cognitive dissonance and make your brain think. Thank you. And you can sit down for real. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Somebody will be spinning.
Yeah, yeah.
And let's just do a quick check-in. Does anybody have any questions so far about what we're talking about or what we're going over?
So I'd just like to clarify something.
Yeah.
Since I'm a little slow, but the asynchronous and synchronous piece, the goal is to have as much synchronous learning going on as possible, because synchronous is the students learning together, right? And not on their own schedule.
Yeah.
That's
And
it.
making that connection, because we know that that connection is what makes learning sticky.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Good stuff, you guys, in the chat. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, onward, Miss Alli.
Onward and upward. Here we go. Sharing the screen again. All right. So
That felt good to stand up to, by the way.
it really did. Oh, we have an inspired clip, Kathleen.
Yay.
Do you want to explain who these people, these wonderful people are?
I did. These are our Alaska educators that we work with, Rob and Greg, and they are so funny. They are, sorry, high school teachers. I was curriculum director, and the high school teachers would always moan when I'd come to do in-services because I was that elementary way. So, but these guys are awesome, but they're typical high school social studies teachers, and they're just like, content, and this is how we do it, you know? Love them. And, but they are past masters at distance learning. And so what we've done is we've made them dump their heads on video, and so that we can capture that 10 years of experience. So that's what you're seeing.
Okay, without further ado.
When Greg and I first got involved in video conferencing, one of the values that we saw in it was the human connection. And we've noticed that students over the years, with all the texting and social media, we're losing that human-to-human contact. And so we felt that the synchronous video learning was a way to maintain that human contact while still using the technologies, et cetera. We require in all of our video sessions, even if we're sharing content or whatever, that we maintain that face-to-face contact with our video participants so that you can read those nonverbal communications, the tone of their voice, the nonverbal communications, the looks on their face, etc. And we always said that this was a tool that could add to the classroom. This cannot replace a teacher. I think we've learned in this last round of the COVID-19 responses, the biggest thing everybody said was nothing replaces a teacher, that actual human in the room. Thank you.
Like Rob said, you know, the idea that we're developing relationships as teachers in the classroom, we're still able to do that when we're using live video. And that was, again, one of the most important things that we really wanted to maintain as classroom teachers. I had students in Soldovia, which is a village in our school district that you can only get to by air or water. And those students over the years had lost, numbers had gone down and they were losing teachers. And so many of the classes these kids were taking were just online classes where they were sitting in front of a computer and not getting to interact with anybody, not getting any type of connection with a teacher. And I had took on those students, 4 students in world history, and they were in my classroom every day. And I was able to maintain a relationship with those kids and bring them into my classroom and give them a quote normal world history experience. And it's just really important that we keep that engagement level using this video. Thanks.
As Greg said, a lot of the distance learning, and everybody's taken distance learning classes or classes online, et cetera. Most of them are asynchronous. And we really like the idea of synchronous because you do get that immediate feedback. You can ask the question right there. The teacher, I think as a teacher, sometimes when a student asks a question, you can understand what they're thinking in their mind because their question might be different than maybe the topic you were talking about, but you can relate it to what we were doing in the classroom. And so that immediate feedback by being synchronously with the person is very valuable for students on the other side. They need that feedback. They want to know right away, well, am I on the right track? Am I headed in the right direction? Getting clarifying on instructions for assignments, et cetera. So synchronous really allows for some immediate feedback with students. Thanks.
Okay.
I just want to say we have a whole series of those videos on different topics by Rob and Greg and a few other people that you'll see. Go.
Well, now it's time for some cognitive sweat. Kathleen and I love to typically we make children have lots of cognitive sweat and we really enjoy that. But today we're gonna, teachers have cognitive sweat. So, we are going to break up into, Kathleen, how many breakout rooms do we need?
Well, first of all, I just put the link in the chat of our handouts, and you're going to need that. So if you are, if you have not opened those handouts yet, let's take 20.1 seconds and click that link and open those handouts because you'll need to be able to see the lesson plan that we're going to muck around with. Denise, we can talk about training in those videos. There are some in your resources and then others we include in our trainings and charge for them, frankly, for our business. So yes, Tracy, let's do small school partnerships. Absolutely. Oh, give us more time in their breakout, Allie. They want more time. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you have downloaded the document, please, so I know that we're ready to go.
I have the document, but what am I looking for again?
We'll tell you.
Okay.
No, look for the, I'm just being a smart Alex, sorry. Look for the, let me pull that up. Hang on, Newt. So you're going to see a Venn diagram that says synchronous and asynchronous, and then below that, you're going to see lesson plan jigsaw. So get ready. We're going to jigsaw. Allie, we can only have 4 because we have, what sort of, yeah. We can only have, well, we have so many. I'm wondering if we should just.
I'm wondering if we should do 8 breakout rooms and then we have 2 do each.
We could.
I know.
That's like math, which is scary. All right.
Yeah, I was helping with a math class earlier today. Oh, my brain was exploding.
Okay, so I'm thinking that we're gonna have breakout room number 1 and number 2. Will they know which breakout room they're in?
Yes,
Yes.
it says it'll
Okay.
identify what
So
breakout.
if you're in breakout room number 1 and number 2, you're going to do explore. The explore section of the, oh, I lied, molecules in motion. So 1 and 2 is going to do explore. 3 and 4 is going to do engage. 5 and 6 are going to do explain. 5 and 6 do explain. And 7 and 8 are going to do extend. Everybody got that?
Yes. And Kathleen, there was a question. Are these, do they have access to edit, or do they need to?
They won't need to.
They won't need to.
Because I'm going to give you your assignment, you guys. Hang on. Hang on. I'm writing in what I said because I did it weirdly. Sorry. 1 and 2 is explore. I love it.
Yep.
3 and 4 is, Allie, you could help me. Engage.
Engage. I'm sorry. I was setting up the breakout rooms.
I love it. I love it. You're really good help.
I try.
Explain is 5 and 6.
Then extend. Thank you, Camille. Somebody was paying
Or
attention.
somebody could help me. I mean, come on, leave me out there to dry, you guys. Extend.
Explain then.
Okay.
7, 8 is extend.
Great. So we're going to do a jigsaw of this lesson plan. And the Venn diagram above it is kind of, you don't have to really draw the Venn diagram or whatever, but in your breakout groups, we want you to read through the section of the lesson plan that is there. So number 1 instruction, read through the lesson plan section. Number 2, discuss it. And we tried to pick a lesson plan that's pretty common, you know, that most people have either done or experienced. So discuss it. And number 3, what pieces and parts could you do synchronously face-to-face and synchronously virtually? What tools would you use? How would you do that? What are some strategies? And then what would you do only asynchronously? And what might you do both for that section of the lesson plan? So read through the lesson plan, discuss it, and determine ways, strategies, tools to do synchronous only, asynchronous only, and both. Clear as mud? Are we good? Everybody up? Thumbs up? Okay, let's go. Let's do it.
And
how long are you gonna give them?
Well, I was just gonna say, I was sort of thinking maybe like, does 15 minutes and 37 seconds feel about right? What do you think? All
and
right.
I would say if you, yeah, let's talk to each other. Let's go for
Perfect. And I'm gonna pop into the rooms and just see how everybody's doing. See if anybody needs any help. So on your marks, get set, switch cognitively.
Sorry.
Oh, and then I have to open the rooms. Boom. You know, it's so interesting. I popped in. I didn't make it to all the rooms. I apologize. I got sucked in and heard some really, really great conversation. And there was a lot of very interesting conversation about the lesson, but I also heard a lot of really great conversation about nuts and bolts and just advice and how do you do this and how are we going to do this? And it's just, we need more of this, I think. We need more time together to listen to one another, to share our concerns, our frustrations, our successes,
our scaredness.
Our scaredness, yeah. Yeah. I'm actually thinking that we should just, Kathleen, start like a virtual support group, like every couple weeks. I mean, it can really just be a listening and airing our scaredness, as you called it, or whatever it needs
That's
to
the
be.
new word for the day, the scarednesses.
The scaredness event session. Yes, yes.
A bitch session. Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Hey, I
You could
will.
have it at Kettle House.
Oh yes.
Well, we'll have to have it at virtual Kettle House.
Kathleen, you could maybe put up your background just for that.
That's where I was going.
I know, God, I know you well.
Oh wait, it's recorded. Oops.
Oh,
Sorry
oops.
about that.
Sam.
Oh, we're adults. We're adults. Okay. Onward and upward. We still have a few things to talk about, but oh man, the breakout was amazing.
I know.
Really just good conversation, good heartfelt conversation, and also just bouncing ideas off each other. And that's what I think we need more than anything.
Do we want to finish the jigsaw, or are we feeling like?
Yeah, let's just keep going.
We just keep going. I feel like we really, that was so nice.
It's late in the afternoon. Let's just keep going.
We don't need to do that. Oh goodness, there it is.
That's the beauty of owning a business instead of having to be in a school district. You can just go, man, maybe not.
I love it. Okay, we have another clip for you. So we introduced you to Rob and Greg. We're also really fortunate to get to work with some students, and this is actually our intern this summer, Caleb, and he's a phenomenal student who did a lot of online learning in high school, and then of course had to do some this spring. So these are some tips from the student's perspective.
Technology is progressing to the point where online teaching is becoming more and more standard. As a student, I've noticed some educators are having a difficult time making this transition from an in-person classroom to a virtual one. Here are some suggestions that might help you adapt. There are many advantages that come with online teaching that you may not have in an in-person classroom. If you're accustomed to directing your students' attention to a whiteboard or a smartboard, the screen share function will be your best friend. You can use this to your advantage. Screen sharing puts something right in front of my face and forces me to focus on what's being shared rather than subjected to distractions in the classroom. Relying on just yourself as the main visual isn't enough with online teaching. While screen sharing, the students will look at the screen instead of you. In a classroom, you were teaching and the board was supplementary, but now the screen is the primary source and you're the one supporting it. Maintaining the illusion of the classroom is vital to virtual teaching. Make sure students consistently hear and see you throughout the lesson. This will promote their comfort when learning online. Turning off your camera or audio at any point before the end of the lesson will discourage students. To help make your virtual classroom more inviting, consider putting something behind you that you'd find in a physical classroom, such as artwork, decorations, or books. This will encourage students like me to feel more welcomed and relaxed. Try not to lecture during the full lesson and promote collaboration instead. Encourage students to interact with you and each other. It will also keep us more focused by offering alternative learning methods rather than just listening to the teacher speak for the entirety of the lesson. Teaching online is not a traditional form of education, and many students and teachers are still adapting. Be aware that everyone may not be as up to speed as you. It's important to remain patient throughout the learning process, not just with students, but with yourself. Additionally, staying organized will help facilitate the transition. Simple things like establishing a weekly calendar or possibly recording mini videos clarifying topics may be the difference between students loving your class and learning or feeling lost and stressed. If you commit to understanding virtual teaching, you will find that your students will often do the same and your superb teaching will do the rest. Thank you.
Yay, Caleb.
I have to say also, I don't know if you said this, Alli, his dad is a teacher at Frenchtown High School.
Yeah.
So he's been raised with educators. Bless his heart. Alli, I'm helping Julia for just a second. So
oh, yeah, absolutely.
Take it away.
All right. So planning for accommodations. We absolutely have to do this. Did anybody struggle with this spring? I'm curious how that went. I know like we have all sorts of things. So there's the accessibility and the accommodations. There's, of course, equity of access, and then there is trauma-informed learning. Again, I'm more just giving a nod that we need to think about these things. And there are lots of different strategies for how we can translate them to online. And Kathleen and I are here to help. We're happy to help you with any of those. But there are a couple of interesting stories that I have heard, both positive and negative, from the past year. One positive came from, I think, Hellgate Elementary, where I believe, and Kathleen's busy, so I'm just gonna make.
I'm back. I'm
just making this story up so she can't.
That was nice punting there, Alli.
I love it.
And that is the beauty of co-teaching, by the way.
Was she the special ed teacher?
She was actually the district clerk, but she was the one in charge of scheduling all the special ed meetings. And of course, they had to have them all by virtual with the parents, and the parents absolutely loved it because they could get to the meetings without having daycare issues and getting off work and all of that kind of stuff. They had way more attendance, way more compliance. The only thing she was trying to work out a little better was signing the forms after the team meetings, and making sure that they got all the signatures and making that easy to do. But the overwhelming feedback from the parents and the special ed, with special ed students was just keep doing it this way because it's so much better.
Yeah. I was another story that was interesting. I was chatting with a neighbor who, psychologist at elementary school, and he was saying like, oh, it was really hard. I had a really hard time like connecting with the students, and so a lot of the students that I work with are not in very good situations to begin with. He's like, God, I always wish that I could just like do some parenting classes or something. And then in the next sentence he said, and the parents were there almost all the time, so it was hard to talk with the students. And so I started saying, we started talking about it, and I go, well, it seems like an opportunity as opposed to like a real problem. Like, can we frame this a little bit differently? And so started talking through how would you hold some parent? How could you adjust what you're doing to include those parents that are really interested in what's happening, that are kind of standing over their kids or might be there to actually help out and make it an even more fulfilling curriculum, that when you have like all these captive audience members. So there are hard things. Equity of access is a big one. And like I said, we've got other stuff to talk about with that. Trauma-informed learning. I know a lot of folks are dealing with that. I know that there's several folks that come from schools that are really focused in this conference that really deal a lot with trauma-informed learning. And so again, this might be a topic for one of our special sessions, our meet and greet sessions that we start hosting just to.
I have to say that two things. The resource in the handout was given to us by an amazing institution over here on the University of Montana campus. And they had a lot of help for particularly hard of hearing and sight impaired folks. And so we've got resources. Sometimes my frustration as an administrator, my frustration as a teacher is there's amazing organizations even in our own state, and sometimes we don't even know about them. And so really tapping into who those people are and what they can do to help us, I think is important also. The second thing, Magdalene, I just wanted to absolutely know that you to know that I see what you're saying, and that bandwidth, fiber optic, internet accessibility is still a pain in some areas, particularly in Montana. It's gotten better, but that's an inequity that has to be solved politically, unfortunately. So here we go. All right, onward. We've got about 15 minutes, Alli.
Well, perfect. It's time for recommendations and teaching tools and apps. All right. So we have a couple things. Kathleen, do you want to plop in the chat? I know it's in our resources.
I'm plopping, Alli. You want me to plop things?
The forms, actually it's It's in the bottom. The forms and the spreadsheet. So one of the things that we've been working on.
I will do that. Yes, I will.
Flop it. One of the things that we've been working on
Flopping away
since the spring is listening to teachers and sharing what has worked successfully for us with these different teaching tools and apps. And so we have a Google form that Kathleen is plopping into the chat right now. So this is a place where you can share some of those things that you have used or discovered. She's also plopping a form into the chat, or a spreadsheet into the chat, and that's the responses from teachers that we've gathered and other folks that we are continually gathering that information from. And so that one you can sort, you can take a look at it. But I don't know, Kathleen, what is your favorite? What are some of your favorite resources?
You know, one that I started playing with a couple years ago that I haven't played with before, but I kind of liked it, especially for, I'd say 5th grade, maybe on up, is Nearpod. Has anybody done Nearpod? It's a way you can go in and create your own PowerPoints. And what it does is it allows you, or you can get theirs, some of theirs, it allows you to, like if you've got a PowerPoint, the one I think I saw a demo on was the Korean War, let's say, with high school social studies. The teacher had prepared PowerPoint. The kids have it on their devices as well as the teacher. And then there's built-in functions like assessments and annotation and all of that kind of stuff. So as the teacher progresses through the PowerPoint presentation on their device, it progresses through on the kids' device. The kids can respond, it's interactive, and the teacher can see those responses in real time. I think it's a pretty powerful tool, particularly with older kids, and particularly if you had, we were talking in our breakout session about hybrid classrooms where you've got some face-to-face and some off-site, where they could be following along and doing the same thing all the time, or if you have completely off-site. So I really kind of like that one. I haven't been back to play with it. The other one that we just played with, and I'm sure a lot of you have used it, is Kahoot. And using that for all kinds of crazy polling and games and, you know, just engaging things. So I plopped, Allie's word, the link to the spreadsheet that's already been filled out by teachers in Illinois, teachers in Montana, to start building this library. And we're going to have this on our webpage, this spreadsheet, so that you can see it with teacher recommendations, content area, grade levels for all these different apps. And then I'm plopping right now the link to the form so that as you guys, we talked about Edpuzzle in our breakout room. Please start filling this in. So keep this link handy. And as you find web pages, tools, organizations, all of that kind of stuff that will help us, let's keep building this through this form that I just plopped. So.
Can I do a shameless plug?
You betcha.
A resource that Kathleen and I have developed, and I'm actually curious if anybody here has participated in one, as we dove into some software development a couple years ago and developed the IC Challenge platform, which is a scenario-driven inquiry-based platform that walks students through processes of problem solving, civic engagement. We have literacy challenges, we have a bunch, and we work with our partners like MPG Ranch in Montana, FWP, we have the United States Institute of Peace that we've done work with. So a lot of different places that have really amazing content. We organize it for you, it's free. The organizations pay for it so that teachers, you guys get to use it, which is really great. So we have a host of different challenges every year. They are free. There's lesson plans there. It's super easy for a hybrid model or a blended model to incorporate that in. So that's one of my personal favorites because I built it. But I also like Flipgrid as one. Has anybody ever flipped with the Flipgrid?
They all have, because they did it for the welcome.
Oh, I forgot. Gosh, the welcome activity. Oh, apologies. That seems like seriously 2 weeks ago at this point. Oh, Tracy, yay. Tracy did one.
So I keep asking, is it free?
It's free.
Yes.
Okay.
Free.
All right.
I'm going to put that free. And the other important thing, I put the links, plopped them in the chat box. I plopped those links in the chat box. We have got new challenges coming out this year, one on pollinators, and it's all authentic learning built with the scientists, the researchers, the authorities in the topics. And we also have live days, live virtual days associated with that. The challenges can be done by pretty much any grade level. We've had kindergartners doing the Eagle Migration Project. And we've got a new one, GeoQuest, coming out with on geography. So different content areas. And we have live days associated with most of them so that you will be talking to the authorities. And so the best thing to do is to email us and get on our newsletter so that you can get that information about free stuff. Sorry.
No, that's good. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm seeing some other ones come. Switch Zoo, GimKit. Have any of you done explore.org? That's really fun. I'll put that one in the chat.
Has anyone done used Mystery Science?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it costs a little money, but oh my gosh, it was wonderful last year. I loved it.
Yes.
My kids really loved it too.
Mystery Science is, yep. Arts and Culture is an incredible app. I love that one as well.
If you guys are wanting any, and this is any grade level, if you want like a virtual class taught to your students, icle.org, which is some of this is in our resources. Is it ICLE? No.
What are you trying to say?
CILC. Whoa, sorry.
Oh.
CILC. We are getting so loony, you guys. I'm so sorry. CILC.org is a library of content providers. So like museums, science centers, zoos, people like us. You can go in and look at their catalog. And some of them cost, some of them don't, but those are things that can be woven into your content areas to really, really bring the world into the classroom. Streamable, is it streamable learning?
Mm-hmm. Streamable learning.
Kathleen, that leads me to a really big question I think that's been kind of hanging over my head. If one of us gets sick, we have to have anywhere from a week to 2 weeks worth of lesson plans done and ready to go.
Oh my God.
I know, and it's mind-boggling because it takes me hours just to create one day. Would something like that, would we be able to grab a link and it would teach a lesson kind of thing, or no? Okay.
No, these are live content providers, and it's a little heavier lift than that.
Okay.
So, it would be like having us come in and teach a lesson about bears, which we do. For an hour, that kind of thing. The virtual content that we have in Heather, it's not as suitable for youngers, but the challenges are things that definitely could be done with a substitute. They could be done with kids at home. We had parents using them in the spring. So.
Yeah, Tracy, seriously, co-teaching, that seems like a pretty great way to go.
Yeah, we have a whole training on co-teaching, which, as I put in the chat, one of my passions is to try to help areas that are experiencing teacher shortages, and co-teaching is one way to do that, particularly for things like AP classes, language classes, music classes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm going to share one of my other favorite resources is Google Earth Content Creator. Have you guys ever done the Google Voyagers? So first off, Google Voyagers are amazing and they're super fun. So check out, you can Google Voyagers, which is all, it's part of the Earth.
We'll do that while you're talking.
It's part of the Earth component. But Content Creator is a new tool that they brought out last spring-ish, and Kathleen and I were lucky enough to be trusted testers as they were building it, and so got to preview it and give some input to Google on some of the functionality. But it's a tool that will help you build very, very easily, basically your own Voyager. And I don't know, Jean and Jeff maybe even did some of this in their sessions. So here's Voyager. Do you want to click on one?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh.
So typically it's set up with 3 panels, a pin, so the map panel, then information and media panel, and then a text panel. And they're all a little bit different, but you can use it same way that you do Google Earth. So you can explore, you can walk through, you can move around on those images. All about learning about different places in the world. So this is very cool. The Content Creator tool allows you to make these pretty simply, and allows your students can make them too.
You know, Alli, I'd be interested to know if there's teachers in this group, because this is a pretty good sized group.
I know.
Who would be interested in learning about how to create their own thingy like this. Thingy. That was a technical term.
That's a plopping term.
Yeah, and maybe we put together a coaching time where we help people build Google Earth creation tools.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes, okay.
Yes.
Email us, please, and let us know, and we'll start a list.
I mean, I'm already thinking about American symbols and things I'd have to teach my kids. Can I go to like the Statue of Liberty and take a tour?
You betcha, baby.
That would be awesome.
I know. How fun would that be?
Oh my gosh, my kids would love it.
We're building one called GeoQuest right now for about 5th through 8th grade middle school, with learning about 4 different countries, sponsored by the Montana World Affairs Council. So if you're interested in that, email us. It's free. And then we have one in our Eagle Migration Challenge that shows the eagle migration from the Bitterroot Valley to Alaska and back, and all the content about what the researchers are doing and lead levels and, you know, all of that issues regarding migration, that kind of thing, as part of our Eagle Migration Challenge. And then we also have live dates with the Eagle researchers. They talk about capturing eagles, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, Kathleen, and like looking at the time, I'm just wondering if we have any other questions. I could just keep chatting and thinking of ideas.
Well, we've got to end though, don't we?
Well, pretty soon. Okay. Content creators,
because we got to do that. Oh, we don't have to do the next.
No, I made it easy. So just so you know, originally we were going to stream the last session of today, but it's now officially a meeting, so we can all just go to that schedule. Refresh your schedule if you have had it open for a really long time, because the links are not always working if we don't refresh. But you can join.
That's for the next session.
Yeah,
so,
the fun. What was it? Fun and facts or something? Facts and fun.
I don't know.
Last session.
It's fun and follow up. Yeah, you need to refresh your conference page and then click the link for that next session. Not right now, but sorry.
Yeah, and like I said, contact us. We put our emails if you need extra help. I think it'll be fun to put together a group that meets once a month or every couple of weeks, just to see if we can't help each other out a little bit more. We're here for you.
Okay.
Great,
awesome.
Jeff. We'll put you on our newsletter list. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon.
You too.
Ooh, go take a breath.
A lot of learning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Gosh, it's so good to see everybody. We needed this too, Alli.
I know,
right?
Really good.
We needed to see people, and besides just each other all the time.
Hey, Alli, Kathleen, Do you guys have any stuff on nutrition, health stuff?
Ooh.
Let me think of this.
Mike, I'm thinking. Not at the moment. Would you like to make one?
I don't know. I'll see. I gotta teach a 2.5-hour block on health classes and stuff, health and PE.
So I have a wonder for you, Michael. The class or this GeoQuest that we're doing.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Is actually, so one of the things that we're doing is we're connecting it to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And goal number 3 is health and wellness. And so the idea is that you're going to be learning about these countries, and you're going to be learning about how they're positively doing civic engagement projects that are associated with the SDGs. And I definitely have some that are health and wellness, and they're projects that kids could do. And then the idea is that they think about this, they see what's happening in the world, they're learning about these countries, and then what they need to do is take it back and do something in their community. You could put a health and wellness lens on this, and kind of direct your kids in a little bit different way and say, yeah, we're going to do this, but our focus is on Sustainable Development Goal number 3, health and wellness. And so we need to look at health issues. And what age group are you working with?
9 and 10th graders.
Perfect.
Well, it's 10th graders because they're, that's the
And you're
first
still
block
in
of it.
Sealy, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just thinking about that through like, all right, like what are health issues in our community? What are things,
Well, definitely COVID's going to come up. I mean, you should
COVID
probably
will
have
come
current health
Right.
issues. Are
But also
probably part of
access
it.
to food. I mean, access to healthy food, right?
Yeah,
Especially
how's
in
all
the
that
middle of winter.
happening?
Yeah.
Totally.
There's so much out on nutrition now that's just like you just get blasted on the internet about this and that.
But I think making it into a project that they could identify and take on in their community would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to do some thinking, I guess, on that. And
Yeah. Well, email us and we'll send you a link.
shoot some
We'll
ideas
think
off.
that through too. That's an interesting
All
one.
right.
I like that. I like a good challenge, Michael.
All right. Thank you. Thanks. Great job today.
Good to see you.
Thank you.